Coming up on Mountain News this morning, officials want to remind parents of responsible gun ownership after a child was accidentally shot earlier this week. And even though lithium batteries are everywhere, officials want you to know how something so commonplace can still become dangerous.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Amelia Lee here with you at 6:30 on this Wednesday, May 14th. And Megan, we have been talking about that fog all morning long because it's real out there. It's really just like a block, a wall, if you will.
Yeah, we still are seeing that very dense fog across the region. So drive slow, drive safely if you do encounter any of the patchy fog. Now, what you do need to know on top of the fog is also what you need to dress for, right? We're looking at temperatures this morning in the 50s, big range here of the mid 50s and some low 50s to the low 60s right now, 61 in Monticello and Jacksboro. High temperatures for the day in the upper 70s, hitting 80 degrees as you travel towards Somerset. And just as Amelia mentioned, we do have that fog. So here's a look at what you can expect for that current visibility, quite low for most of the region. Although we are staying mostly dry this morning with only a little bit of that rain as we're traveling into our Virginia counties. We'll be seeing those chances throughout the day, although slight, with some very slight chances of storms this afternoon. Amelia.
A Floyd County man is behind bars after police say he attempted to commit murder. Police responded to a shooting that happened last Saturday on US 23 in the Herald community. A woman told police that Ronald Ramsey shot at her and another man. Ramsey was reportedly behind the two. Police also learned that a teenager had been in the back seat. Ramsey was charged with attempted murder. The man accused of setting fire to his home, killing his two sons, went before a judge in person for the first time. Dustin Fields is charged with arson. The fire destroyed his home, killing his two sons in April yesterday. The location for the hearing was at the Franklin County Jail due to ongoing work to mitigate flooding damage at the courthouse. No change was made to Fields' $2 million bond. A grand jury will now consider an indictment on the arson charge against him. A Virginia man will pay thousands of dollars for harvesting a rare root in Cumberland Gap National Historical Park. Cody Brummett was also sentenced to 1 month in jail for harvesting ginseng, also known as green gold. The root sells for a high price, and it's not uncommon for people to make a living selling it. Collecting the root is a federal offense. Investigators said Brummett dug up more than 300 roots from within the park. We're highlighting the issue of gun safety around children after an accidental shooting last week left 18 with life-threatening injuries. Lexington police say multiple people were playing around with a firearm when it went off and injured the teen. Police tell us teaching gun safety to children is extremely important. They say for gun owners, the first step is to prevent children from playing with the firearm and make sure your guns are secured if small children are around. Pediatric experts say it's also important to talk to children about the dangers involved with firearms.
Some of the stuff is the stuff that you start talking to them about when they're 2, 3, 4, 5. So by the time they're middle school, high school, elementary school, you have an open relationship with them where you can talk about difficult subjects.
The Lexington Police Department also has a program where second grade classrooms can visit Safety City, where they can learn about gun safety and traffic laws. With technological developments every year in modern warfare, Senator Mitch McConnell is raising concerns about a potential issue on battlefield: the speed these arms are produced. Senator McConnell spoke at the 2025 Global Security Forum in D.C. yesterday. The annual event focuses on innovation. During the forum, the senator raised concerns about the lack of funding to produce these defenses at a timely rate. And here's one of his comments from that forum. He says, quote, "If we don't make overdue investments in expanding our production capacity, we might not have the time to manufacture it." So when we talk about innovation, let's talk about innovating our mass and our speed. Let's talk about supply chains. The only capabilities that make a difference on the battlefield are the ones that get there at the speed and scale of relevance. The theme of this year's forum is Strength Through the Storm: Industry, Innovation, and the Future of U.S. Military Powers. A group of lawmakers gathered at the state capitol for the ceremonial signing of House Bill 90. The bill is also known as the Mary Carol Akers Birth Centers Act, or Love Them Both 2025 Act. Governor Andy Beshear vetoed the bill after the legislative session. The measure seeks to ensure Kentucky women and medical professionals get the clarity they need when making critical medical decisions. This includes defining what is and what is not considered an abortion.
House Bill 90 shows that our legislators are just as committed to mothers as they are to preborn children.
Critics of the bill argue the legislation does not go far enough. This was one of the last formal ceremonies in the Capitol Rotunda before renovations begin. Kentucky politics are seeing big changes with new faces entering major races. U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell is not seeking re-election in 2026, opening the field for several candidates. Republicans Daniel Cameron and Andy Barr announced runs for the Senate, while Democrat Pamela Stephenson is also in the race. With Barr leaving his House seat, Democrat Sherilyn Stevenson is running for his spot in Congress. Governor Andy Beshear says he won't run for Senate, but continues to gain national attention as a potential 2028 presidential candidate. A Knott County native announced her bid to run for Congress this week. Sherilyn Stevenson is running for Kentucky's 6th congressional district. That seat became vacant following Representative Andy Barr's decision to run for U.S. Senate last month. Stevenson represented those in Fayette and Scott counties in the General Assembly for the past several years. And here's part of a statement from Stevenson about her announcement to run for Congress. She says, quote, "We need to rewrite the rules, stand up for working people and families, and fight for Kentucky. That's what I've always done and exactly what I will do in Congress." In central Kentucky, officials in Lawrenceburg say a fire this week was sparked by a lithium-ion battery. While the fire was quickly contained, there's still a concern about the hazards associated with lithium-ion batteries. Those are found in everyday items like cell phones and power tools. They've also become very popular in recent years thanks to being fast charging and long lasting. However, if something does malfunction with that battery, the result can be explosive.
Whether from overheating or from physical damage or short-circuiting. And what happens is that battery now goes through a thermal runaway event, causing off-gassing, and a very fast amount of toxic gas will be exposed, as well as the heat and a lot of fire.
Experts say you should watch out for overheating as you charge your electronics. This includes e-bikes and electric scooters. Even avoid charging your phone in your bed or near flammable materials. Students with the University of Kentucky joined forces with other groups in their efforts to reforest land throughout the state. Students were in Hazard reforesting a former mine site. One student says she enjoyed meeting new people and contributing to the reforestation of a former surface mine. The project is part of a 4-year collaboration dedicated to enhancing environmental sustainability. An expansion was introduced to the Camp Nelson National Monument boundary. The expansion includes the fort's northern barricade, the strategic Kentucky River Bend, and portions of the historic home for colored refugees. U.S. Congressman Andy Barr says the new additions will deepen the visitor experience and further illuminate Camp Nelson's role as a cradle of freedom in a Union slaveholding state. UK says their ticket sales for football continue to go down. This after UK sold out its season tickets in the last 2 seasons, which is more than 40,000 tickets in both years. But through May 12th of this year, Kentucky sold more than 21,000 season ticket packages, which is still 2,500 fewer tickets sold by the renewal deadline in April of last year. Ticket sales are expected to go up through the summer, but it's still shaping up to be their lowest season since the COVID-19 pandemic. A man who was trying to beat a world record has died. Richard Abbott was battling leukemia when his 11 grandchildren came up with the idea to break the world record for receiving the most Christmas cards. We're told Abbott received over 5,000 cards from across the country, including from President Donald Trump and Governor Andy Beshear. The world record, by the way, is 350 million cards. In an interview with WYMT back in November, Abbott says his fight is in God's hands.
I even told the doctors, I said it's in God's hands. He can do whatever he wants.
Richard Abbott was 63 years old. His funeral will be Saturday at the Pulaski Funeral Home Chapel.
We're starting off with some slight chance of rain this morning, especially for our Virginia counties. The rest of the region, just looking at those clouds rolling in and out of the area. We'll see more chances of some rain throughout the day, although slight, and some slight chances of storms this afternoon. Current temperatures are sitting in the 50s across the region, a little bit warmer as you're traveling more towards the southwest. 61 for Monticello and Jacksboro. This afternoon, temperatures will be warming up into the upper 70s and low 80s. Seeing 81 degrees for Somerset, Monticello, and Middlesboro. Here's what you need to know as you're heading off to the bus stop. We're going to have some fog across the region, so drive safely this morning. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s with cloudy skies. By the time you're heading home, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the upper 70s. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan. It's 6:40. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. Michael Jordan returns to the world of basketball, but this time he'll be behind the cameras instead of on the court.